All right. So the way that these sessions usually run, I have a pretty brief PowerPoint that I'll run through that covers the program, some frequently asked questions. At the end, I will get to the questions that were submitted when you all registered. And then you can ask any questions that you want at the end. But I also want to mention, please feel free to enter some questions in the chat if they pop up along the way. I don't mind being interrupted whatsoever, so please feel free. Um, so yeah, I will get started. All right, so today we're talking about the PhD in curriculum and instruction. My name is Alyssa Yesko. I am the director of the Pathways into Education Center, or the PI Center, Pathways into Education. And you may have spoke with someone in my office at one point or another. Our office sort of serves as a one-stop shop for the School of Education, especially when it comes to providing information to prospective students about our programs. So we are a really great place to reach out with any of and all of your questions. And typically, if we can't answer your questions, we're going to find the person who can. So that's why I think it's a great place to start with us. So we're talking about a degree in curriculum and instruction, and I like to just sort of talk about what does that mean, right? So what are we studying if we enter this program? Um, Curriculum being the what. So what are we teaching, and what do we want learners to learn from us? And then the instruction is the how. How are we teaching that to our learners? In this program, students utilize research. It's a program that focuses heavily on research to further studies of educational practice and develop new theories of learning. Students engage in scholarly inquiry throughout their time in the program, both on their own and with the support of faculty, also with opportunities to engage in research with faculty to answer questions that help educators to overcome challenges to student success. Students who graduate from this program are prepared to meet challenges in education, which is an ever-changing field, and take on exciting and important roles that have a huge impact on others' lives. The program itself is located within our Educational Theory and Practice Department, or as we call it, the ETAP department. So if you've ever heard us refer to ETAP, that's just the overarching department. The program is a minimum of 63 credits consisting of core courses, specialization courses, which I'll talk about in a second, electives, including the option for independent study and internship courses, inquiry courses, which are courses that are focused on research methods, and of course, a dissertation. Students in this program also complete a gateway review paper, 12 credits into the program. It's utilized as a way for faculty to review writing and research skills and identify areas of strength and areas in need of improvement. So early on in that program, you're being evaluated in a way that allows you to sort of get a feel for how you're doing and things that you can work on as you're moving through your coursework. The inquiry tool requirement for the program is fulfilled through the inquiry coursework. And essentially it is, like I said, very heavily focused on research. So these courses allow you to demonstrate competence in inquiry tools that are appropriate for your specialty. All students also complete a comprehensive exam in the form of a pilot study that is a scholarly paper and public presentation, and then all students complete a dissertation. And that pilot study is obviously and should be related to your dissertation. Students are able to really focus on what it is that interests them the most within this program, because we have lots of great options for the specializations that you can select. We have a specialization in learning, teaching, and teacher education. So if that's your area, if you are really focused on student learning, and if you are thinking about teaching teachers or developing strategies for teachers, that's a great place. Learning sciences and technology. Our program heavily focuses on technology, regardless of which specialization you choose, but this one allows you to really hone in on that, and also keep your focus on the sciences. So we have a lot of students who were previously science teachers who select that. We have language and technology. We have literacy, language, and culture. We have science and mathematics education. We have TESOL and second language acquisition. And then we have society, equity, and social studies. So we have lots of great options. And I'll even mention that if you know a combination of these two is really what suits your interests, or if there's something that isn't listed here and you are interested in formulating your own specialization, faculty are also open to that. This is just a screenshot of the planning sheet for this program that sort of just gives you a better idea of how everything that I mentioned on that previous slide, all of those requirements, what that looks like from sort of an aerial view. And it also allows you to sort of organize your coursework in a really nice way. This form is available online, so I can always show you guys where you can locate this if you're interested. So information for applicants, requirements for your application include transcripts from all schools attended. I will mention that unofficial transcripts are just fine. You will need to, for application purposes, you will need an official transcript in order to enroll. But for your application, yes, unofficial transcripts do work. 3 letters of recommendation with at least 2 from professors. And this is something that we get a lot of questions about. The reason that we ask for letters of recommendation from professors is because a PhD program, especially at a Research One university, is it's a rigorous program. And so the admissions committee wants to hear from someone who has taught you in the classroom about your academic potential to do well in a PhD program. Now, we do also understand that there are people who have been away from school for quite some time who are coming back to this program. If and really only if that is your situation, we do recommend a professional reference in that case. And always encourage students to ask their recommenders to maybe speak to their academic potential or the skills that they have and that they possess that would make them a good student in a rigorous academic program. You know, particularly if one of your recommenders has a PhD and has, you know, sort of knowledge of the skills that it would take to complete a program successfully and can speak to the capabilities that you have in those areas. You have your personal statement of background and goals, and then also GRE scores. So this is another area that we get a lot of questions about. At this time, there are no circumstances where we would allow a GRE waiver. So we do get questions about that quite a bit. We get a lot of applications for this program, and it's extremely competitive, and the admissions committee has decided that that is an important piece, but also stresses that it is just one piece of your application. So every student is evaluated on a holistic basis. So, you know, if you're concerned about the GRE, if you're not a lover of standardized tests, we do understand that. And if you're worried about the GRE scores, we just recommend working to make the other aspects of your application really strong. So like we'd be looking for a very strong academic record. We'd be looking for a very strong statement of goals and letters of recommendation as well. So the deadlines for this program include you can enroll in the fall, spring, or summer. There's rolling admissions if you do not wish to be considered for a departmental assistantship. And the website for this page recommends that if you're looking for the fall, June 1st is a suggested deadline. And if you're looking for the spring, that should say December, my apologies, December 1 suggested deadline. The reason for submitting a little bit earlier in those circumstances is just as a PhD candidate and as a program that does get a lot of applications, they spend considerable amount of time reviewing each application individually, and so just getting your application in a timely manner allows them to do that. The deadline for summer and fall for departmental assistantship consideration has passed, but I believe even if you start the program without a departmental assistantship, you could always apply for one in the future. Okay, so some frequently asked questions. How long does the program typically take? So it depends on a few different factors, but there are a minimum of 3 academic years of full-time study required. Sorry, that's not true. Students who are in this program must be in this program for a minimum of 3 years. If if you're studying full time, that is the shortest amount of time that you can complete this program. Although the typical completion time is 4 years of full-time study. So full-time students, a typical completion time for any PhD program is somewhere around 4 years. Some factors to consider are you going to be full-time or part-time? What outside life commitments do you have? The number of credits you are able to bring in with you, your time management skills and motivation, and your research and dissertation plans. So some types of research does take longer than others. It all depends on how you plan out your study toward the end. All requirements for the doctoral degree must be completed within 8 years from the start of your program. Can the program be done part-time? Yes, absolutely. We have several students who complete this program while working or who do it part-time for other reasons. It will obviously lengthen the time to completion, and the 8-year statute is still in place. But this program does not have a residency requirement as other doctoral programs may, just meaning that there is no requirement that you study full-time for any certain period of time. Continuous registration, though, is required, although a leave of absence can be permitted when needed. How are courses offered? Online courses may be synchronous, asynchronous, or a hybrid of the two. Any synchronous online courses will be offered in the evening hours most frequently to accommodate working professionals, and students can also take in-person courses if they choose, but this program can be completed fully online. Can my previous graduate coursework count toward the program? Yes, absolutely. Previous applicable graduate coursework can count toward the PhD. You would work with your advisor after you enroll to apply for advanced standing or transfer credit. You can bring in up to 31 credits from previous graduate coursework, and the considerations that your advisor will have are the content of the course. So is it applicable to this degree, and the length of time since the course was taken? This is a really important factor in this particular program, with older coursework being less likely to be accepted. But each course is considered on a course by course basis. In what ways can I fund my graduate studies? So there are assistantships available which allow you to work in exchange for either a stipend, for tuition assistance, or both. The department itself offers a limited number of assistantships for doctoral students, which carry tuition benefits and or a stipend. They require that you are studying full-time. At the graduate level, full-time is 9 credits or more. Some are offered to distance students when they are available. So it's students from who don't plan to ever come to the institution can still apply for those. These positions have you working with faculty, either assisting in research, teaching, or working in different departments. So I have a graduate assistant from the Curriculum and Instruction PhD program who works in my office, who does advising and assistance with departmental administration things. If you're looking for a departmental assistantship, you would have to apply for that with your application. Although there are other assistantships available through our graduate school, which may be in a variety of different offices across campus. And so those are available for any graduate student to apply to, with the same rules that you would have to be a full-time student. We also have university-wide scholarships that are available. We have School of Education specific scholarships that are offered each year. And I always like to really highlight those because it's a smaller pool that you're applying against. So only School of Education students, and there are scholarships that are specific to ETAP students or specific to students in doctoral programs. So even smaller pools, you can apply for those each and every single year. Although I do like to mention always that the Office of Financial Aid and Student Accounts is the best place for questions about tuition, fees, aid, and payment plans. That is unfortunately not my area of specialty, so I can answer very, very general questions, or I can direct you to a website with answers to those questions, but any more specific questions should be directed there. So financial aid and student accounts, they have information on, and also the graduate school, they both have information on tuition and fees, the types and availability of financial aid and scholarships, payment plans, and on and off campus employment options. Departmental assistant or other assistantships, you can search for additional assistantships. You can always go online and check to see what the current openings are. As of right now, there are no, the last time that I checked, which was last week, there weren't any current openings for assistantships, but that really has to do with the time of the year, right? So we're just about not even halfway into the semester. And so a lot of those were sort of scooped up at the beginning of the semester. So if there were any graduate assistantships, they would be listed here. Although they do have a couple of additional opportunities that aren't considered assistantships, but that are available at this time. So this is where you would go to look if you were looking for an assistantship outside of the department. Scholarships, like I said, there's university-wide, and then there's School of Education scholarships. So where to find more information? I am sure that many of you have already visited the program page for the PhD in curriculum instruction, which has some great information about the program itself, the requirements, information on each of the different areas of specialization, along with which faculty specialize in that area. So a great way to find some faculty that you may eventually work with if you're accepted to the program. There's also information about admissions requirements there. Something that is extremely important and something that I really encourage students to do if they're considering applying to this program is getting to know our faculty. And so on our department website, on the ETAP department website, not only does it list all of the programs offered by the department, but if you scroll down, it has information on each of our faculty members. And if you click on their names, you can learn about their work experiences, their education, but also their research interests. So you can read a little bit more and see if there is someone who you could see yourself working with. You can feel free to reach out to that person. You could feel free to mention them in your statement of goals as, someone that you aspire to work with because you've, read about their research and feel that they share a similar interest to you. But because this program so heavily focuses on research, it's a great idea to have an idea of what you plan to focus on and who you plan to work with. The graduate bulletin is a great place that outlines the program requirements. So requirements for admission and requirements for study. It goes into a little bit more detail about each of those areas. So what does it mean, minor field elective courses? This gives you a great description. What does it mean, inquiry courses? Gives you another great description. So this is another good place to visit. And the PhD handbook, which just filled with wonderful information. This can be found on the ETAP department website. So this is the handbook, but I'm going to show you guys how to get to it so that you can access it on your own if you'd like. So I told you guys that this is the department website, the same website that has everyone's bios on it. Honestly, if you just Google UAlbany Department of Educational Theory and Practice, you should be able to find this page. Although you can also find it from our School of Education landing page. If you scroll on down to ETAP program links and you click on download our doctoral handbook, it brings you to this wonderful shared document that goes through pretty much any question that you might have about the program itself, and a wonderful table of contents that just goes into much greater detail about everything that I'm mentioning tonight. So I encourage you all who are and contact information for our faculty, but yeah, just really, really good information. So definitely recommend checking that out. Also, another great place to find more information, as I mentioned at the beginning, is my office. we're the Pi Center. We can answer your questions. We can help you out. We have, I pride ourselves on being really quick to answer emails. So picenter@albany.edu, which I will enter in the chat right now, is a great place to reach out. We also have open Zoom hours where one of our staff members is basically just sitting there waiting for somebody to hop on and ask all of their questions. If you feel like your questions warrant more of a conversation and you want to have, a discussion about the program, that's a great place to be. And like I mentioned, there is a student who works in my office as a graduate assistant who is in this program. So you could even arrange to hop on at a time that she's there and maybe ask questions from a student's perspective. So another great chance. So that is everything. And so I will get to now some of the submitted questions and topics that everybody entered when they registered. Now, this was as of maybe noon this afternoon. So if you entered anything later than that, you can always feel free to put it in the chat. But I think I caught everything as of this afternoon. So the first question that we received is it possible to take the school building leader or school district leader exam for certification while in this program? And it's got a two-part answer. So the answer is yes. I believe anyone can sit for that exam, although I'm not 100% sure, but this program itself does not lead to that certification. And we do have a program that leads to that certification, and it is in another department. You would have to talk to an advisor about whether it would be possible to use the coursework from that program that does lead to these certifications toward this PhD program. So that program is our Advanced Graduate Certificate in School Building Leadership. It is offered through our Department of Educational Policy and Leadership. It is certainly possible that at least some of those courses may count toward this degree if you can make an argument for it and work with your advisor, but this program itself does not lead to that certification. The next topic was structure of the fully online program. So there are certainly courses that may be recommended that you start with and that you take first, but for the most part, this program is relatively flexible. And as I mentioned, the program, the online courses may be synchronous, they may be asynchronous, and they may be a hybrid. So it may be, okay, we are meeting synchronous online on these 5 dates throughout the semester at this time, and then the rest of the course is asynchronous online. So that's another really common way that our courses are offered. Field experience opportunities, students can certainly set up internships or field experiences and perhaps even do so with faculty members, participate in research and do that for credit through independent study. I think I talked about advanced standing, the possibility of transferring in up to 31 previous credits of previous graduate coursework. I talked about the GRE requirement. Like I said, at this time, there is no waiver for that. Even for students that have a previous graduate degree or, substantial experience, we are asking of that from all of our applicants. And then I think I also covered funding, just the different ways that can fund your education here, but also with the encouragement to reach out to our Office of Financial Aid or the graduate school for more information on that. So that's everything I have. Is there anyone who has any questions for me, something that I maybe didn't cover, something that you want me to clarify a little bit more? I am happy to answer any questions that you may have. You can shout them out. You can enter them in the chat. Please feel free. Let's see. What is the difference between the science and mathematics education path and the learning science and technology path? So unfortunately, our department representative could not make it tonight. So I am just going to pull up those two, the descriptions of those two specializations. So it looks like let's see. For learning sciences and technology, specialization builds scholarly expertise in research-based innovation related to learning with technologies. Our students and faculty conduct cross-disciplinary research to investigate new learning processes, models, programs, and systems enabled by innovative designs of technology. So research areas include online and blended learning classrooms, computer-supported collaborative learning, game-based learning, self-regulated learning with technology, learning analytics and assessment, computational thinking. So it looks like this one is really focused heavily on, it looks like the science behind using technology in the classroom. The other option seems to be more focused on the learning and teaching of mathematics, sciences in K-12 schools. So that's, I think, what seems to be the main difference between those two programs. Let's see, what's the next question? Will students get the recording? If you reach out to the Pi Center and ask for this recording, we will certainly send it to you. I don't automatically send it to all attendees, but if you would like the recording, please feel free to reach out and we will send it to you. Will online students ever be zoomed into an in-person class, or are the sections all online for only online students? My understanding for these courses is that Zoom is typically only used for a synchronous online class. To the best of my knowledge, students don't typically Zoom in to an in-person class. Maybe there are exceptions to this, but I think in-person classes are meant for to be specifically in person. Any other questions? Right. Well, if you guys think of anything, if any questions pop up after this session has ended, anything that that I covered or that I didn't cover, please feel free to reach out to the Pi Center, and we will be happy to answer those questions. I see we have someone who's just joining us. Mary, it looks like you just joined us, but we were actually just wrapping up. But I will mention that there's a recording of this session and everything that we did cover, unless you had some specific questions that you wanted to enter in the chat or shout out.
Oh, no, sorry. I thought it was at 6:30. I must have written the wrong time down. 5:30?
Absolutely fine. Please feel free. I don't know if you can see my previous messages in the chat, but I'm putting my office's email address in the chat, and I'll be able to provide you a recording if you reach out and ask for it.
All right, thanks. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, of course. So research opportunities in PhD in chemistry. So this program itself is not a PhD in chemistry. There is certainly the opportunity for you to explore learning and teaching of chemistry specifically. So perhaps that specialization in science, mathematics, and computing education would be a great specialization for you. There is a PhD in chemistry offered at the University at Albany, but is not through the School of Education. This program would be very specific to the learning and teaching of chemistry as a science rather than chemistry itself. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Okay, great. Any other questions at all? All right. Thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of time with me this evening. Although I say this evening, I don't know where everybody is coming to us from. So if it's not evening for you, thank you for joining us anyway at this time, whatever time it is. And yeah, I hope to see some of your names come through as applicants and maybe as future students here. Thank you very much. Have a great night, everyone.